Have you ever looked at a law and just had that gut feeling, that sense that it's, well, just not right? It's a question humans have been asking forever. Is there some kind of higher standard for our laws? A universal measure of justice that even a king or a government has to answer to? Well, we're about to dive into the incredible journey of that very idea.
So what does make a law fair? Is it fair just because someone powerful says so? Or is there something deeper, something more universal at play? This single question has fueled thousands of years of debate, and it's exactly what we're going to explore.
And really, it all boils down to this central conflict. On one hand, you've got the law of rulers, the rules that are written down and enforced by the people in charge. But on the other hand, there's this tantalizing idea of a law over rulers, a higher standard that everyone, even the most powerful, is subject to. This tension, this tug-of-war, is the engine of our whole story.
Now you might think an idea this big and philosophical must have started in some fancy lecture hall. But nope, the first spark of this idea didn't come from philosophers at all. Its roots are way older, found in the myths and stories of ancient poets who were just trying to make sense of the world.
Take the ancient Greek poet Hesiod. He pointed out this really crucial distinction. He looked at the animal kingdom and saw the law of the jungle, right? The strong just devour the weak. But he believed humans got a special gift from Zeus, justice, a guide for how we should act, not just how we can act.
And boom, right there in that simple myth is an absolutely revolutionary idea. For what might be the very first time, someone was saying that human society should run on something other than just brute force. The idea that a higher, even divine law exists beyond raw power, that was the very first seed of natural law.
Okay, so we've got that mythical seed. Now let's fast forward to the age of philosophy. This is where that idea gets taken out of the world of gods and stories and thrown right into the ring of rational argument and some seriously fierce debate. So the philosopher Heraclitus comes along and gives this higher law its first real philosophical name, logos. He saw it as this universal, divine reason, kind of like an eternal operating system for the entire cosmos. And he argued that our human laws are only good or just if they're in sync with this cosmic logos. And this idea just set the stage for one of the greatest debates in the history of thought, thanks to a group called the Sophists. They framed it as a showdown between physis, which means nature's true universal principles, and nomos. That's all the man-made laws, customs, and conventions of any given city.
Now, the argument for nomos was really powerful and practical. Its defenders basically said, look, our man-made rules might not be perfect, but they're the glue holding our society together. They're the only thing stopping us from sliding back into the law of the jungle.
But the other side was just as passionate. The champions of physis made this radical claim. They said, hey, a lot of our man-made laws are actually unjust because they go against our true human nature or the laws of the universe. For them, true justice had to be found in nature itself. And you really can't overstate the impact of this debate. It created a powerful new tool in Western thinking. For the very first time, people were using nature as an external standard to judge and even criticize the laws of their own government. A tradition of principled dissent was born. All right, so we've got a mythical seed and a huge philosophical debate. But who took all these different threads and actually wove them together into one complete, revolutionary system? Well, for that we have to turn to the Stoics. The Stoics built this amazing logical chain. It went something like this. First, they started with that idea of a rational universe, the logos. Then, they reasoned, if the whole cosmos is rational, and every single human has a spark of that universal reason inside them, then it follows that all humans must be fundamentally equal. And that led them to a stunning conclusion. We're not just citizens of Athens or Rome. We're citizens of a single cosmopolis, a world state.
I mean, this was a flat-out revolution in thought. The Stoics were declaring that true law is just universal reason, that all people are born equal, and that this equality cuts across every social and political boundary you can imagine, including, which was absolutely mind-blowing for the time, the status of being a slave. This idea completely transformed Western political thinking.
So if the Greeks gave natural law its philosophical soul, it was the super-practical Romans who gave it a legal body. They were the ones who took these big, abstract ideas and figured out, okay, how do we make this actually work in the real world? The guy who really stands out as the bridge between these two worlds is the statesman and orator Cicero. This quote just nails it. You can see him weaving Greek philosophy together with Roman legal thinking.
For him, true law wasn't just some nice idea. It was a concrete, universal, and timeless standard that even the Roman Senate had to follow.
But the Romans did more than just borrow Greek ideas. They introduced a critical shift in focus. See, while Greek thinkers often obsessed over the collective good of the city, Roman legal minds started to zero in on what was due to the individual. They came up with the concept of an individual's right.
And the concept they developed was called jus. Now, this isn't just some vague feeling of fairness. Jus is a specific, legally confirmed and protected interest. It's the part that is due to you as a person. And this idea, jus, is the direct ancestor of our modern concept of individual human rights. It all starts right here.
This became Rome's most powerful and lasting legacy, honestly more so than its roads or armies. It's this simple but profound idea. Power is not its own justification. For power to be legitimate, it has to be based on and limited by the rights of individuals. That's a total game changer. And this idea, forged in Rome over 2,000 years ago, it didn't just vanish with the empire. Not at all. It created a golden thread that runs directly from the ancient world right into the fabric of our world today.
You can literally trace the family tree right here. It starts with the Roman concept of jus. That idea leads to the Magna Carta, where nobles forced a king to recognize their rights. That sparks the social contract theories of the Enlightenment, which leads directly to the modern constitutions that protect citizens' rights all over the world today.
So, just think about that journey. What started as a poet's simple myth became a philosophical debate, then a universal creed for all humanity, and finally the legal bedrock of individual rights. This ancient search for a higher law is still very much shaping our world.
Which leaves us with a huge and hugely important question for today. We talk about our rights all the time, but where do they actually come from? Are they endowed by nature? Are they a gift from God? Or are they simply something we've all agreed upon as humans? The debate, as you can imagine, is far from over.